window, broken glass. It all happened way too fast. Missed the turn and couldn't see headlights in front of me. So hard to see with blurry sight. I missed everything that night. Every single liquor store, each and every pill I swore I'd never take again. Forgive me my sins on this dreadful night. Sorry to keep you up, I'll be leaving you alone, 'cause you weren't there to drive me home. Yeah, it's basically the end of the song. So like, the first verse is talking about, you know, getting drunk and looking for somebody because they did you wrong. Second verse is talking about trying to leave the bars to go find them. By this point, you're absolutely out of your mind, wasted, which is never a good way to drive. It's a very good anti-drunk driving song. And
for the kids.
It is for the kids. It's so they know.
It's a message.
Because the whole last verse is describing the actual wreck, which really sucks. And the last line, obviously, because you weren't there to drive me home. He tried to get a hold of her every way he could. He called her. He went to her house. Couldn't get a hold of her. Got wasted.
Alcohol
and decided to drive. Yeah, it solves all problems until you wreck your car and
do stupid shit.
Yeah.
So that was you and Derek?
Yeah, me and Derek.
My Lost Cause?
Yeah. We were in My Lost Cause. Me and Derek have played together for about 10 years. Which makes me sound really old that I've played with anybody for 10 years. When we were like 17 or 18, we started getting together and playing music because we went to the same high school. And we weren't really super good friends in high school. I mean, we knew each other and we hung out. Just kind of normal stuff. I went with him to buy his first guitar because I knew that he was looking for a guitar, and you know, I was the musician, quote unquote.
So he was not at that time?
I mean, in high school, I was in loads of bands, and he had never been, you know, in a band.
Had he picked up an instrument?
Not really. But he was an amazing singer. He was in like chorus and did all these competitions and stuff. So, I mean, obviously the kid could sing, but he wanted to learn to play guitar. So I went with him to get his first guitar. He got it. And then maybe that was like junior year, I think. Then right after senior year, we met back up, and I was talking about wanting to start a band and kind of what I wanted to do, and he actually wanted the exact same thing. Like, well, let's start a band.
So was that the first band that you were in?
That was the first serious band that I was in. Yeah, I was in a bunch of bands before that, like in high school, but you know, that never really does much.
Practicing in the parents' basement and all that.
Exactly. This was the first band where we were together for 5 years and we toured the U.S. multiple times. Like, it was the first experience I'd had in a band where it was real. Like, we would go out of town for 2 months at a time. Like, it was awesome. And that was when I was like, you know, I guess we started touring heavy when I was 21. So, you know, I was able to drink, and it's just 5 dudes in a van. So yeah, that was My Lost Cause. And then we did a lot of touring for like 5 years, and then a couple of the guys just decided they weren't into it anymore. They didn't want to be on the road, and we were just kind of stuck doing nothing but playing like the occasional local show here and there. And so that kind of fizzled out. And during the end of that, when it was fizzling out, we were recording our last album, which was Dying for the Cure. It took us 9 months to record it. And I think that was where we lost momentum, because it was taking so long to put this record out. We were all excited about it at first, and then, you know, after like 7 months of, recording the same song.
Doing the same stuff. Yeah.
And I mean, I know that it happens. You know, the Rolling Stones play the same stuff now that they wrote, you know, 20 years ago. And that's cool. They're an awesome band. But, I don't know. Recording the same thing for that long and not seeing any progress from it, I think that was mainly the thing. We were like, well, this isn't going anywhere. So basically we broke up a month before the album came out. Like, we finished it and set a release date, and then decided shortly before it came out we didn't want to do it anymore. So, and I will say the record label was not very happy.
Did you guys quit?
Yeah, because he had already ordered the CDs. I mean, it was all, you know, it had a release date. There was all this promotion on the internet and everything. And I actually called him because I know him the best. And I was just like, man, I know the album comes out in 2 weeks, and you know, they've already been pressed, and they're, you know, but I think the release show may be our last show. And that was an awkward conversation. because obviously there's a lot of awkward pauses. You know, I kind of told him, and
silence,
just silence. Like I could, it was really strange. And then he was just like, "Okay." It's like, "Yeah, I'm really sorry." Okay. Well, do you think you guys could play a few shows? You know, and try to sell some of these CDs that I just spent thousands of dollars on. So we ended up, I think we still sold a lot of them, but yeah, that sucks. We did play a couple shows. After My Lost Cause, I didn't play in a band for about 2 months. I thought it was longer than that, but
so that's a huge dry spell.
Really, it's not that. Well, it might have been longer than that. After My Lost Cause broke up, I'd been friends with Henry, who was in Cold Hands. They were a band for like a year at this point, and they were actually on the same label. This is how I kind of found out about that. Was I called my label guy when I was in My Lost Cause, and I'd called him randomly one day just asking him if I could get a box of My Lost Cause CDs or something. We were just talking. He mentioned that the drummer, he's like, "Did you hear the drummer from Cold Hands quit?" I was like, "Well, oh, I happen to be in the need of a band." Yeah. So called them up and got a hold of Henry, and he was like, "Yeah, you know, you can try out, you know, learn these songs," and gave me a CD and said, "Learn these 5 and then come to practice and we'll see what happens." And dude, that is the first time I've ever tried out for a band that's already together, and that is the most awkward situation. You go into a room with some dudes. I mean, I had met Derek before because he played in punk bands when I was in My Lost Cause, so we'd played shows together. So I'd met him, just didn't know him. Same with Zach. I had played with his bands previous, but we'd never talked. I just knew who he was. And Henry I knew. So yeah, I ended up going to practice, and it was so weird because it's 3 dudes that you hardly know, and you're about to audition for them. Yeah, so we played through all the songs, and then Henry was like, "All right, hang on a second." And him and Zach walked out the room. It's so awkward, you know? I mean, you know what they're talking about. It's like they're judging you.
They left you there with Derek?
Yeah, so me and Derek are sitting there, and like I said, I didn't really know.
It was like good call, bad call thing.
So what's up, man? You know, it was just kind of weird, and we talked for a little while, and then they came back in. Henry even made a comment. He was like, "Dude, I know this is awkward. I'm sorry." And then got Derek, and they went outside and started talking. And then Henry came back in the room. He was like, "You're in the band."
So that's simple.
Yeah, it was that simple. Like I guess I blew them away. Like no, actually, like it's funny. Like I think that they were actually, and it's not even the fact that like I played well. I think it was just the fact that within a week I liked their music so much that I wanted to play in the band that I learned all this stuff. And like I'd learned more than I needed to, and we played through all this stuff. And apparently it was like, you know, first and second try through it, it was like, wow, right on. So I guess they were cool with the fact that, you know, everything sounded all right. Like, wow, okay, that was easy.
So
our drummer
busted ass though for that.
Yes, I did. I practiced for that week. I practiced like 3 or 4 times, like for a couple hours at a time, like 3 or 4 nights that week. Like it was crazy. Because I mean, I loved their music before I even played for them. So yeah, that was kind of exciting when I heard that they needed a drummer. I was like, yes, that's my in. And they'd only needed one for a couple of days, and I called Henry, and like I think that they were surprised that within, you know, a week they already had a new drummer, because they were like, wow, that was easy. You know, they thought they had like, I think they had a couple other people that they were going to try out, I guess, if I sucked. So luckily it didn't make it to that. I tried out and I got it. So that's pretty cool.